Right. Well, good evening, everybody. Hopefully, the audio is working right this time. I'm not just talking to myself. Sounds like it is. There we go. Welcome to tonight's show. I am your host, Chris Gogolin. I do want to go ahead and just clarify something because I saw the announcement that was posted on the Slack channel about me returning with my regular Jump game review series, and well, I do plan on getting back to that very soon or in the near future. This is not that kind of show tonight. Tonight, we have some Set 13 spoilers that we're going to go through live. Looking at we can close down Gem for a minute. Looking at the list so far, I feel like there's been more than just these, but this is what's compiled together so far by Darren. We've heard about the some of the erratas that are going to happen. We've heard about some of the defensive shields being blanked here. The civil disorder and firepower and whatnot are going away, along with some other possible errata that should be released shortly. We've got these 5 cards that he's compiled, but I feel like there may have been 1 or 2 other ones so far. Um, but we're gonna talk about more than just a couple of cards here, because the lead design advocate Chris Kelly wanted to post the full spoiler list for everyone tomorrow, and he gave me, yours truly, the opportunity to reveal all the cards tonight. So we're going to go through them all. I've got the full list. There's a lot. It's going to take a while, but we're going to go through them all. We're going to talk about them a little bit, but I want to keep things moving along. I'm sure there'll be plenty of time to discuss them all in the forums over the next couple of days before they get live released to Gemp and get pushed through. I know they're still working on some images and stuff too. Haven't been quite as keeping up with the behind the scenes stuff the last couple months. Work has just been insanely busy. Good problem to have, given how many other people are having issues finding work, keeping work, getting their regular hours in, to have a job where I'm able to actually still be working overtime and just, squirreling away all my nuts for a rainy day is a good problem to have. So let me pull up my old Slack chat here. So we've got these 5 cards. We'll cover them again because I'm going to go through these one at a time. Like I said, it's a big set. We're talking about 60 cards in this set. And the full spoiler list will be posted tomorrow, so you don't have to worry about copying text down and discussing it with your friends and whatnot. You can see it all tomorrow and go through it then. So let's see, make sure we got our font right. This is going to be a little crude, but our first card is a dark side card. We're going to start with the dark side. Dark side feels like it's been in a bit of a weaker place lately. ISB's good but boring. Court's okay. CCT in its variations is okay. Watto's okay. But there aren't really any dark decks that just wow you the way that, Legend does, or even Throne Room still. Um, where you just feel like you're competitive in every single game. I don't know that dark side feels that way for a lot of people. So we'll start with the dark side first, give everybody's hopes built up a little bit before we tear them back down and we go through all the light side cards. It's not exactly a 30-30 split. I think it's 26-34. So, but dark side got a little more help last time, and I think light side may be getting hurt more by erratas. So, um, yeah. So let's talk about some cards. Am I spoiling everything? Yes, Dan. I'm spoiling everything. That's what I do. I ruin things. I spoil it all. So I'm spoiling all of it. And Dash, thank you for the subscription. Currently on a 6-month. Yay. And Yoshi's back. Woo, yay. 21 months. Thank you, Sam. All right, card number 1. There he is. A new Admiral Ozzel, who does not deploy for 0. Uh-oh. There's a mention. Hang on. Oh, never mind. That's just Bill letting everyone know to come join the channel, because right now I'm spoiling all the cards. Thanks, Bill. So we got Ozzel. Yeah. Let's make this nice and big. All right, power 2, ability 2. So I feel like he might have been power 3, so that might be a decrease. Deploy 2, forfeit 4. With a rest order out, he's still going to get pumped up to 6. So he's going to deploy for 2 instead of 0. Little drawback there. No change to his destiny number, so he's still destiny 0. Adds 2 to power of anything he pilots. Matching pilot for any Death Squadron Star Destroyer, so he can match up with. Oh god, it's been so long since I played. Alert my Star Destroyer. Haha. uh, And while he's piloting one, instead of force draining here, you can draw a top card of reserve deck or raise your same or related converted location to the top. All right, so that's a little wordy at the bottom part, but you can get your converted location back if he happens to be at the system. Could be the system as well. Could be a site. Whatever happened to get converted there. Could possibly work out in a few matchups there. But matching pilot for any Death Squadron Star Destroyer, so Tyrant, Stalker, Vengeance, all those ones that you can pull with the Death Squadron assignments, which also gets Ozzel. So you can take him into hand with Imp Command or Endor Shield, and then match him to get one of the Star Destroyers out, so that gives you a little more flexibility there. Forfeits for 6, so if you have Kuat making the ship immune to less than 4, just another dark side space bump. And then this other text may come into play. If he's piloting any Death Squadron Star Destroyer, instead of force draining, you can draw the top card of your reserve deck. Could be good for getting some cards in hand. Watto's Junkyard. Maybe. You never know. Um, so yeah, it could be good getting the top card of your reserve deck into hand instead of force draining. If you happen to track something around, that Imp Command you played last turn, track it back around instead of force draining for 1 at Tatooine. Say in an entanglements deck, you can just draw the top card of your reserve deck and get that key interrupt you played the turn before back into hand, or that character you drew for Battle Destiny. So he certainly has some uses. I expect him to see some play. I don't know if he'll completely replace the deploy 0 guy in every uh, you know deck design, but I feel like there are certainly some decks that he is an upgrade over the regular version. All right, so there's one down. These are in alphabetical order. Next dark side card. Pump that up to font size 20. We have our first Crimson Dawn character, Aemon Grem, with a cannon. He's an alien. It's always a plus. More aliens with permanent weapons. Target character or vehicle for free. Draw Destiny. Destiny greater than defense value. It's hit and power and forfeit -2. Doesn't reset forfeit to 0, so don't have to worry about things like uh, Lana Dobreed or Odin Nesler combo first aid resetting their forfeit. I mean, I guess you could still possibly restore it to normal. Uh, I forget how those are exactly worded. But while with your guard or at an opponent's site, their weapon destiny draws here are -1. So if he's with another guy, another specific guard guy, or it happens to be at their site, their weapon destiny draws are each -1. Could come in handy in a mains type matchup. Certainly could help against Leia's gun, which we're seeing more of these days. Just making that -1. If you happen to have anything else like a dark time to subtract 1 more, maybe your guy lives. Yes, he is a guard himself. Maester Aemon. Yeah, it's not quite Game of Thrones, right? But he is a guard and a leader, but he's got to be with a guard. So him and another guy have to be together. I'm sure we'll probably come across a few more as we go through this set. But Alien Leader, also a good thing, can key off Jabba. Not a pilot, so no real benefit to downloading him, with Jabba Space Cruiser or anything like that. But we'll put him on the side. He could have some potential, just depending on what other characters come out that he could work with. Maybe something that happens in a future set. But here's a character that should certainly jump into a few dark side decks. We have a new Dooku, aka Darth Tyrannus. Dark Jedi Master, Power 5, Ability 7. Defense value +1 while armed with the lightsaber. So someone like Luke now gets a little bump up. Now he's defense value 8. Jedi here are power and immunity to attrition -1. A couple guys who are permanently immune, but everybody else who's immune to like less than 6, now they're less than 5. During battle or lightsaber combat involving him, cancel and redraw an opponent's just drawn destiny, immune to sorry about the mess, and attrition less than 6. Immune to less than 6 is great. Immune to sorry about the mess is great. Not getting sorry about the mess, not getting blast proficiency comboed. Uh, and then battle or lightsaber combat. Cancel and redraw a just drawn destiny. Now, he won't help with the combat if they substitute, if you're playing against light side combat or something like that. But they can, if you play the shield, they can only draw substitute 1, and they have to draw the second one. So now they need to have a couple good destinies in a row. Uh, but he also has the functionality of working just during battle. And it's any just drawn destiny. So weapon destinies, sense, alter destinies, whatever you got going on there. You know, destinies to attrition, destinies to power. There's a lot of destinies that light side likes to draw, and this could certainly help out canceling and redrawing it. So I think he'll probably see some bit of play. He also has the separatist icon, so he's going to help stunning move a little bit more. Certainly helps out dark side combat, which is a deck that people have liked, but it's always kind of been stuck in that tier 2, tier 3 realm for a while, mostly because of the activation it gives up. You give your opponent 4 icons, and there's a chance you may not even go first because of how popular Throne Room is. A deck that normally is used to start in 3-0, 4-1, somewhere in that, 4-0, depending on how many force icons you give them. Now suddenly you're giving them 4 right off the bat, and it's like a 7-0 start for them. And they're just going to put a guy right to your site and hope that your opening hand isn't as good as theirs. Yeah. But certainly he does give them a little bit of an advantage there. Yep, he's certainly he can't use Force Lightning. No, that is a downside. He doesn't have the text like the other one does that enables him to use Force Lightning, but I think we're okay with that. I think he's got some other strong qualities. And yes, because he is Trade Federation, Invasion can certainly still use him, which makes sense. So it's a pretty balanced card. A nice alternate persona that doesn't make one clearly better than the other one. I think they both have their decks that they're going to fit into that they're going to work with better. Hunt Down might prefer the other guy a little more because he's got the combo Force Lightning with the Emperor and things like that. Plus the ability to pull the force push to do things if necessary. This guy will certainly slide into a few different decks as well. All right. Yes, that's a good point, Dash. Gets Evil is Everywhere. It does make him fully immune and give him a defense value boost. Equals 8, though, so it doesn't really... I forget how that card's worded, too. See, I'm out of practice. I've been doing this for 2 or 3 months. All right, 3 down. Only 57 more to go. That's right. I said 57 more. I'm not going to sing the song. His text is +1 with Saber. Oh, yeah. Saves defense value 8. Yeah. Evil's Everywhere pulls the lightsaber for you. So, episode 1 Sabers. Yep. All right. Oh, this is another Crimson Dawn guy. Dryden Voss. Crimson Dawn. Leader. Gangster. Another alien. Ooh, Terraskasi. That's our first new keyword with that. Deploys -2 if Maul on table. So we'll assume this is defense. This is some type of defense value. Gives him defense value 5. Makes him a little harder to hit. All right. Gangster. All right. Deploys -2 if Maul on table. When deployed, may deploy a weapon on him from reserve deck, reshuffle. While armed and present at a site, opponent may not react to or from here. He's immune to less than 5, but only less than 3 if with Kira. Deploy 6, forfeit 6. Those aren't great, but deploy -2 if Maul on table makes him a 4/6, possibly even 3/6 with Scum, because he is an alien. Not bad. Certainly not using Scum if Maul's out, unless there's an alien Maul, which it wouldn't surprise me, but I don't know. We'll get to him. I don't think I don't think I don't think we need to give Scum a Dark Jedi. I think they're doing just fine with their character selection as it is. So, opponent may not react to or from here while he's at a site and armed. That could be interesting because he's got to be armed. So, like, you battle them to stop them from, to overwhelm them because you know they're waiting on the react with like Finn or something like that. And then they weapon lev and steal your weapon. Now he's not armed anymore. And since they're both just level actions, now you can react. So Maul was spoiled. Well, there you go. See, I thought I had seen a few more. Oh yeah, he was on the list. You're right. All right, so Voss isn't bad. Nothing to write home about, but certainly has potential. All right, let's keep this party moving. All right, so we had our Grand Inquisitor. Now we have some regular Inquisitors, which if you've watched the Rebels cartoon, you know that apparently there were more than a few of them. This is Eighth Brother. He is an Inquisitor. He is Power 3, Ability 5, adds to the power of anything he pilots. May deploy or move as a react to same site as a hatred card. So now we're going back a couple sets to that card. I believe it was the Dark Path that allows you to get the hatred cards. So you can deploy as a react or move as a react to same site as that. During move phase, unless alone, you can return one of your Inquisitors here and all cards on them to owner's hand. So if you've got him and a couple other people together and you're like, all right, you can drop him, battle, beat some people up, or deploy him as a react, beat some people up, and then pick him back up next turn, take him back into hand so you can move him around somewhere else on the board. All right, he's got some potential. Ability 5, draws by himself. Imperial certainly has, opportunity to see some play. Deploy 4 is not bad. Forfeit 5 is kind of low, but, you got to balance him out somehow. So, and he's Destiny 3, so it's not like he's hurting your deck while he's floating around in it. He was spoiled on the best SWCCG Twitch show. I'll have to go back and look and see what Jerry had to say about that. Okay. And since Eighth Brother was just spoiled, how about his Fifth Brother? So we got another Inquisitor. This one's Power 4, Ability 5. Power plus 3, but defense value minus 2. While with a Jedi, Padawan, or Hatred card, characters here may not have their forfeit increased. So that certainly works both ways. Your cards and their cards may not have their forfeit increased. Forfeits can still be decreased. Weapons resetting to 0 and whatnot. Power plus 3 makes him Power 7. Power 7 Imperial. Good Dark Jedi Presence that. Up to 14 pretty quick. Plus 6 from Vader. This guy and Vader and a Dark Jedi Presence is suddenly 20 power. Hit a guy, make him forfeit 0. You got some possibility to cause some overflow there. With a Jedi Padawan or Hatred card. So back to the Hatred cards again. Certain sites, getting your Force activation up. And then, getting a power bump against anybody. Or possibly just overwhelming, a lone Jedi. Or Padawan. Anakin, Ahsoka, Kanan Jarrus. Alright. It's not bad. We upgraded Jerry with Scott. I think I did hear that Scott stepped in for a week. Alright, we're going to shift gears back to some Crimson Dawn people, because like I said, this is alphabetical. So we got another Crimson Dawn. This is another guard, and this is a non-unique guard, so you can have two of these guys floating around to tie in together with the other guy. Deploy -1, forfeit +1 at same or related location as Voss or at an opponent's site. So he deploys -1 and forfeit +1, so it becomes a 3/5 if he's same or related location as Voss or to an opponent's site. Okay. Permanent weapon. Oh, this guy also has a permanent weapon. Target a character using 1 force, draw Destiny. If Destiny +1 greater than defense value, their game text is cancelled for remainder of turn. So not hit, not resetting forfeit, just canceling some good old game text. Could certainly come in handy against people like Leia Organa or Padme, who have game text that triggers additional Destiny draws, or people who just static add Destinies like Solo, who just add a battle Destiny in key situations. Um, yeah, if you cancel Chewie's game text and he was canceling somebody else's game text, then suddenly you get your game text back. Speaking of Holo Theater, tomorrow it will be Scott and Dan with special guest Ryan Jellison. That's my teammate on this Corona Cup thing. Ryan's actually probably doing the best thing out of our teammates so far. So be sure and tune in to that tomorrow night. 9 o'clock usual time, Dan? All right. Let's see what else we got here. Yes, usual time, 9 o'clock. Okay. We got a new probe droid. So now this is our third probe droid. So we got the regular probe droid, we got the Sith probe droid, now we got the ID9 probe droid. Is a spy, power 1, armor 4, deploys for 1, forfeits for 4. Okay. During your deploy phase, may use 2 force to relocate an Inquisitor to same site and place this droid in the use pile. So like the Sith probe droid kind of relocates, this droid also has that functionality. While present with 7th Sister, opponent may not target 7th Sister with weapons unless this card hit. Alright, so you got to hit this thing first before you can hit her. Kind of follows the cartoon a little bit if you saw any of it. So good thematic game text there. I know how much members of the design team like to try and include that when it, when it fits with gameplay. They like to balance thematics where they can. Use 2 force, relocate an Inquisitor to same site, put the droid in the use pile. Okay. Certainly has potential. Forfeit 4 droid also could tie in with like force servitude and things like that. And it's a spy. Not really going to help you too much, but you could, deploy the droid somewhere that you normally can't go, and then during your deploy phase, use 2 force to move the Inquisitor and put the droid in the use pile. So you can then you would have presence at the location to then deploy additional characters. And yeah, so basically for 3 force, you can move an Inquisitor who's on the table anywhere that they're allowed to go. It can't go to like Dagobah or something like that, or Octo, but yeah, basically spend 3 force to move one of your Inquisitors from one side of the board to where there's characters, and yeah, smash them in the face. Okay. Moving right along here. Margot is a female, is Crimson Dawn, is an alien. Once during opponent's deploy phase, may use a force to choose. Break cover of opponent's undercover spy here. Well, that's once during opponent's deploy phase. So during your turn, I can break the cover of your undercover spy, which then gives you the opportunity to decide to battle or move or whatnot. Or or draw destiny. If destiny equals number of opponent's characters at same site, to initiate battle here this turn requires +1 force. Okay, that's a secondary function, sure. Primarily, I think, you instead of using like a probot, you've got now a deploy 2, forfeit 3, cheaper alien, deploy 1 with scum kind of thing. I could see her fitting into those types of decks to break cover. But again, it's during the opponent's deploy phase. Maybe they don't, have much in hand going on so you deploy and they can either move away if they're under cover because wouldn't be able to break it until their turn. But if they have nowhere to move to, or them moving away just in general, then let you force drain. That could be exactly what you want. So not bad. Doesn't wow me, but certainly could have some potential. Oh, here's the guy we were just talking about. This is the new Maul that was spoiled. Now that we mentioned, this does look familiar, right? Never deploys to a battleground. Because I feel like there's something where he can move, right? Yeah. Once per turn, added 1 to a just drawn battle or weapon destiny. Also once per turn, subtract 1 from a just drawn battle or weapon destiny. So he can add 1, and then in a separate function, he can also subtract 1. And neither of it is related to yours, so he can affect yours or your opponent's. And then your opponent may not cancel any of your destiny draws. So cards like the female interrupt I can handle myself, that cancel the weapon destinies or something like that. Yeah, can't do that. Wedge couldn't cancel your battle destiny. Deploy 4, forfeit 8. Pretty good. Never deploys to a battleground. Nothing's going to stop him from moving to one. And again, with the Crimson Dawn. Okay. Opponent may not cancel your destiny draws. So, yeah, cancel redraw with Legend, I guess. Would they make cancel to make you redraw? That's a good shout out there, Berm. That would certainly take Legend's ability down a little bit in certain situations. Sure. All right. And we got a couple of sisters to go with our male Inquisitors. This is ninth sister. Power 5, ability 5, defense value -2, while opponent has a weapon present. Well, that sucks for her. Because when the opponent has a weapons present is when you need your defense value to be high. Unless opponent's character of ability greater than 3 at same site, reset opponent's total battle destiny here to 0. So if they just have a bunch of ability 2 and 3 guys, like say maybe a Watch Your Step deck that only has like Luke and Melas who are ability 4, or Obi-Wan since his deploy cost doesn't get increased, or maybe a deck like No Idea, which has a whole bunch of those random ability 2, ability 3 trooper guys running around. You can certainly reset their total battle destiny to 0. It's kind of a soft counter to a number of decks. Whether or not it'll be good enough for her, deploy 4, power 5. Okay. Oh, someone just subscribed. Thank you very much for doing that. Ah, Mr. Fahrenheit. Thank you very much, Mike Turner. Nice card versus Diplo. Yes, there's yeah, Diplo does have a bunch of guys who like to kind of spread the board and draw if unable to otherwise, like Owen and Baru and Lando, Scoundrel, and things like that. So yeah, solo. There's a number of cards where if they're kind of by themselves in certain situations, it'll certainly come into play a little bit. Situationally good is what we'll label her as. All right, and here is the seventh sister. Another female Inquisitor. Attrition against you is -1 here if with a hatred card. A Jedi, a Padawan, or a probe droid. Okay. So if you have the probe droid, and the probe droid prevents her from getting hit, and then also subtracts 1 from attrition against you, and then this part of the text makes Inquisitors and probe droids immune to less than 4, and then it's -1, so you're essentially immune to less than 5 in certain situations. Excuse me. I haven't been talking this much in weeks. Once per turn, use 1 force to draw a top card of reserve deck. Free if you're a probe droid here. So once per turn, you can just draw the top card of your reserve deck. That's also pretty good. So she's got some synergy, certainly has some practical uses, and as we talked about before, if you can track some cards around, set up some things, just draw on the top card of your reserve deck without even having to exchange a card, like 3PO or 4-LOM kind of force you to do. You're just getting an extra card into hand. Certainly could be a good way to build your hand early without, drawing a pile of stuff. Or if you just happen to late game see something, keeps looping around the same interrupt, keeps looping around the same force field or something, and just if you get them to grab something else or keep playing the same used interrupt Ellis or whatever you need to. A lot of different possibilities with that. Anytime you have access to cards in your deck, if you can track where they are and get them into hand repeatedly, Imperial Artillery, Voyeur, all that kind of stuff. You have plenty of ways to abuse stuff and cause consistent force loss and damage to your opponent, and manipulation can be very powerful. So she's a good card there. And that is it for our characters for Darkside. So that's a pretty good mix of people. You got a couple of Crimson Dawn people, 4 or 5 of them, a couple of regular aliens, and a couple of Inquisitors, and then Dooku. Okay. Here's one. This is a new defensive shield. Failure at the Cave. We don't have a card that cancels Failure at the Cave? Just make sure of that. I'm sure that's already been vetted, but yeah, I think we have broken concentration cancelers. I think Failure at the Cave is we don't have any cancelers for, so fine, good choice with that. Defensive shield plays on table. Opponents' undercover spies are immune to double agent, so they can't undercover spy. Excuse me. All right, so their undercover spies are immune to double agent, so they can't use that as a protection card to keep people like Jin, who's undercover and safe, when you drop Iceheart or somebody like that to break her cover, and they play double agent to get rid of her. It's like, no, you can't do that. While a Jedi test on table, projection of a Skywalker is canceled. That's also pretty good. So now we're not canceling your drain bonuses and then further reducing your drains further with projection. I'm sure Scott must be crying over this one. If Grimtosh just revealed your hand, you may place up to 2 cards in your used pile. So Matt Wadden must love this part of the text, right? That's the first thing he's going to play every game. All right, so they spend 4, they play Grimtosh, they reveal your hand. Before they get to make any of your duplicates lost, you get to put 2 cards in your used pile. So if you're playing a deck that has like 9 Palace Raiders, they're not all lost if they're all in your hand. You get to save at least 2 of them. But yeah, it certainly could come in very handy in that situation. You've got 2 or 3 Lukes or whatever like that. Instead of having them all lost, if you can dump the duplicate copies to your used pile to avoid having all of them be taken out of your hand, it certainly, shall we say, minimizes the impact of a lost Grimtosh. I'm sure there's a matching one for Lightside that'll affect Monarch in some way. So that's certainly interesting. And I know people have complained about Grimtosh and Monarch and how their lost function just kind of can completely one-side games. We've heard the stories of people flipping over the table and storming out and yelling "F Star Wars, this is stupid," or "F Grimtosh and Monarch," just throwing your deck right in the trash can because it's all non-uniques and everybody's playing Grimtosh, and yeah, you just got screwed somehow. It's been 25 years. There's been enough of those. So here's something kind of a mid-range counter. It's not completely. It's not going to save all of your stuff, but if you got 12, 15 cards in hand, and you know you might have the ability to save a couple of key cards from getting pooched. So not bad. Let's see what we got here. Got to bullet those pesky Decipher cards. Yeah, a little bit. Take them down just a peg. Scrimtosh Monarch ever been overpowered? It has certainly caused some lopsided games, Paul, over the years. Some of these weaker decks and things like that, you need to run a number of non-uniques. Sometimes mains decks where you've got five Jedi Lukes. Yeah, I'd argue that Monarch is a great way to keep that shenanigans in check. Um, if you happen to draw a couple of them in your opening hand, but this will at least give you an out, so it won't ruin the game on turn two. So yeah. Now I'm talking about if you're playing like some type of Agents of the Court deck or like a Watcher Step Palace Raider deck or something like that, where you're focusing on and you don't have access to Yarna all the time. Agents does, but um, some type of non-unique Rebel deck, or even just something with key interrupts. If you need 3 to 4 copies of leadership, shall we say, to get your admirals, to get your other for like a Yavin 4 deck to get kind of that stuff going. Um, or several other interrupts to get your Gungans out and your Ewoks out or whatever you got going on. Your Gungan generals that are going to take over your Fombas and big Boomas and all that kind of stuff. Um, those are the kind of decks that just they fold when your opponent plays Monarch Lost and they start crush and they're just like, turn two, just Monarch Lost. What do you got? And it's like, oh, here go 5 out of the 12 cards in my hand because they're duplicates. So, uh, not bad. All right. I feel like this one we may have seen already as well, but we'll talk about it real quick. Planetary Rings. Dark side effect. Deploy on a battleground planet system. It adds a light side icon at your related big one. If a sector was just drawn for asteroid destiny, cancel and redraw that destiny. Once per turn may deploy a sector to the system from reserve deck. So that can get asteroids or clouds. But so far, not seeing the relevance of this card. It turns the big one into a 1/1, so it would be a battleground. Well, unless there's some rule about asteroid sectors never being battlegrounds, which is certainly a possibility. They may not be. Certainly haven't used dark side asteroids in 15 years to know all the specific rules and effects with them. But I guess we're all going to learn. Bespin is a planet system, so yes, this could go on Bespin, and then you could get cloud sectors and whatnot, and Bespin Cloud City out of your deck. Kind of possibly speed things up if whatever you're trying to pull off to set up a old school dark deal or cloud deck. Set up Dagobah Clouds. Here we go. Yeah, dark side Dagobah Clouds with your non-related locations. Yeah, I'm not seeing this. Maybe a player created card. Maybe there's other stuff that this will tie into that possibly may not have been released yet either. But so far, I'm not seeing because at least you know Light side at least has asteroid sanctuary, which you put asteroid sectors out and you put the asteroid sanctuary down, and then you do damage. Not so much the damage from draining at the asteroid sectors. So uh, I don't know exactly where we're going with that one. Would it surprise me to know that? No, not at all. I You didn't even have to tell me. I was already thinking like, is this Steven's player created card? All right, we got another effect coming up here. Let's see what this one is. There are many hunting you now. Deploy on table. Once during your turn, may stack top card of Lost Pile face down as a hatred card on an opponent's character with your Inquisitor. Okay, so now you can get more hatred cards. Top card of Lost Pile, so top card of your Lost Pile, anytime during your turn, goes face down as a hatred card on an opponent's character who's present with who's with your Inquisitor. Opponent must choose to lose one force, or that character's game text is cancelled for remainder of turn. So anytime during your turn you can do it, and then you could cancel their game text if they don't lose a force. And then I guess the card still stays stacked on them, even if they lost a force. And then when they leave the table, the card goes back to your lost pile. I'm guessing. That makes the most sense logically. Character's game text cancels for remainder of turn or lose a force. So basically, you're taking a card from your lost pile that you've already lost, and you're basically making them lose a force. Unless it's a character that they really don't care about. But there's a lot of good characters on light side with a lot of good game texts. And a lot of them, they need their game text because that gives them things like add a battle destiny or draw if unable to otherwise. Or, oh, I don't know, R2 adding a light side icon to make the site a battleground. So, uh, certainly could be a number of things there that could tie into. Okay. Oh, we got a new Visage of the Emperor coming up next. Lose 2 force, deploy on Vader's castle. Force generation here may not be limited. Alright, so there's Watch Your Step, not taking it from 2 to a 1. Each player loses 1 force at the end of their own turn. Okay, so hunt down, not causing force loss on each turn, it's only on your own turn. And then I guess obviously if hunt down is flipped, it's not going to work on the old school hunt down though, because Visage would start on the table, and it's unique, so you'd have to lose it when they invade your meditation chamber and then redeploy it on Vader's castle. Um, Once per turn, deploy a lightsaber on an Inquisitor from reserve deck. Reshuffle may not be cancelled. So no added commissions, no controlling the location to cancel it. Just each player loses a force at the end of their own turn. Certainly should speed some games along a little bit. And then you can get lightsabers on Inquisitors. Alright. I have a feeling this is going to tie into something else we're going to get to in a little bit, but it's got potential. Alright, now we're moving on to some interrupts. We're almost through the dark side cards. Not quite half. Still got a couple more to go. Alright, more hatred stuff. Used. Stack top card of Lost Pile face down as a hatred card on opponent's leader or character of ability less than 3. Hey man, you get all these hatred cards stacked on people. You really get your Lost Pile down for match play. It's like, yeah, I lost by 27, but I only had 6 cards in my Lost Pile at the end of the game. So, you know, I still have a chance, right? Um, Character of ability less than 3 at a battleground. So any leader or character of ability greater than 3, at a battleground. Makes sense. Be with Padawans and people. Lost. If your Inquisitor in battle with a Jedi Padawan or Hatred card. Add a Battle Destiny. Add two if you're with all three. So if it's a Jedi, a Padawan, and you've already stacked a Hatred card there, you can add two Battle Destiny. Not bad for a Destiny 4 interrupt. So stack a card as a Hatred card, or if you've already done that, add 1 to 2 Battle Destiny. Okay. Did I skip some cards? No, haven't skipped any cards yet. I got a handful more to go, so there's still a few, quite a bit of other stuff. We've got some interrupts. We've got, looks like, we've got some locations. Quite a few locations. And a couple of weapons and some other cards. Yeah. Oh, so it looks like it's 34 dark side cards, 26 light side cards. All right. Keeping this moving right along. We've already been going 45 minutes here, and we're almost about halfway through. Not quite. All right. That was far more frightening than death. So up next is I Never Ask for Anything Twice. Dark side interrupt used to take First Light or Voss into hand from reserve deck. The way this is written, I'm going to guess First Light is the name of his ship. Usually ship names are italicized. Alright, so used interrupt to pull stuff into hand, or place a character from hand on used pile to activate one force, 2 if Voss is on table. So take a character from your, play an interrupt, then take a character from your hand and put it on the table, and then you can activate 1 extra force, 2 if you have the right guy on table. Could certainly come in handy, let you squeeze out one more guy, or pay an, play an interrupt, or possibly if you do this before battle and like draw their fires kind of out, and you're like, oh crap, let's play this interrupt and stack this guy so I can activate a force, so at least I can play my Gick or whatever to get out of this battle. You do it before the battle starts. Possibly get 2 extra force if you've got Voss. Once per game, exchange 2 cards in hand with any 1 card in lost pile. So there's the Obi-Wan text, and that's immune to sense. So you're doing a 2-for-1 swap, just like Obi-Wan does. Could get a key card back, a key interrupt character, some type of effect. They cancel your occupation, and here you go. You're going to go get it back. Bill's asking me if I skipped a couple cards. Let's see. Nope, I did not skip those cards. Hang on just 1 second. Let me just scroll down and see if perhaps... No, they are not on my list, Bill. So they may be cards that playtesting wasn't finished with yet. Maybe they'll be coming out later, or maybe Chris Kelly just forgot to add them to the list he sent me. We'll find out in a minute. We'll see if we need those cards, if they tie into that new objective. Alright, so anywho. Never asked for anything twice. What do we got next? Been searching for you for some time. User lost Destiny 5 this time. Opponent's character is about to be lost. Place any hatred card on that character in owner's used pile. So now that gets, so you put the cards from your lost pile face down as hatred cards, and then when you kill that guy, you can put that card to your used pile to kind of get it back in your deck. So it's a long way around to get retrieval in with the used 5 interrupt. Lost, lose Vader or an Inquisitor from hand to take up to 2 Inquisitors into hand from reserve deck. So throw away a Vader, throw away or an Inquisitor plus this lost interrupt. 2-for-2 swap, upload 2 Inquisitors from a reserve deck. Alright, not bad. Certainly gives the Inquisitors some flexibility. Imperial Code Cylinder. This also kind of ties in. Alright, so you're taking Krennic or a non-spy captain into hand from reserve deck. There's a couple of captains that come to mind. Captain Kurgi, maybe a spy, not sure. Uh, Captain Sarkley, Captain Yor, Captain Jonas, right? All right, so you got a few captains. Captain Bewill, yeah, I'm sure at least one or two of them are spies. Um, or peek at the bottom card of any deck or pile. All right. So if they 3PO a card back and you really want to know what card that was that they put back, you could just peek at the bottom card of their deck when they recycle or their use pile. Uh, During the power segment of a battle, if you are captain in battle with your leader, cancel one destiny just drawn. That's not a battle destiny. So you can cancel a power destiny or an attrition destiny or a bright hope destiny that's drawing to subtract from you. Because those happen during the power segment. Nope. Poor Sarkley. Jonas, yep. Goddard, yeah. Yeah, no, not at that phase. You're not playing sense in the power segment. So it's really just power attrition or like Bright Hope kind of modification destinies. But Imperial Code Cylinder, I don't know the destiny on that premier card. I want to say it's a 4, could be a 5. Probably something stupid like a 3, but you know, it's got some potential. It's a 4? Yeah. 4 seems about right for something like that. Well, I'm sorry, it's a dark side card. Of course it's a 4. Um, yeah. All right. A lawless time. Used interrupt. Lose 2 force, retrieve a Crimson Dawn leader. So lose 2 to get a Crimson Dawn leader, just retrieve them, not into hand or anything, you just put them back into your deck. Excuse me. If you just fired a set 13 blaster, we got a blaster. During a battle, add 1 battle destiny. Alright, so you fired a set 13 blaster, you can add a destiny. And then there's also, depending on who fired said gun, you've got what Jabba's through with you. If a bounty hunter fired a weapon, you can add a destiny. So potentially, it's one guy firing a gun, depending if it's the right gun, could add multiple destiny draws. Or during any control phase, if Maul or Voss add a battleground site, flip Shadow Collective, or you know who I answer to. Ooh, there's a little mini spoiler there. I think we got a new objective, and I think it's called Shadow Collective. And I think the flip side of it is called You Know Who I Answer To. I'm going to guess it has to do with all these Crimson Dawn people. Of course, now I'm thinking of Die Hard, where he's spelling out Dawn, D-A-W-N. I think that's the Asian Dawn, though. All right, working much more closely. A hologram interrupt. If you have 2 Crimson Dawn characters in battle, draw destiny, subtract that amount from attrition against you. So here we go with the modification draws during that segment. Or deploy up to 2 Crimson Dawn characters from reserve deck, or cancel a hologram. So you can, now we've got a card that cancels projection of a Skywalker because it's a hologram. So you can get rid of that. Or you can deploy up to 2 Crimson Dawn characters from reserve deck with a lost Destiny 3 interrupt. Or if you've already gotten 2 guys together, you can help try and keep some people alive. Okay. It's got some potential. Not great, but the image for this card is going to be sick. Well, I guess we'll all just have to wait and see then. The game text, not bad. If the image is sick, well, hey, maybe you'll play it just for the image. All right, now we got some locations. Couple of locations here. Well, we've already seen the Executor Control Station. I know that one was spoiled. Okay. We do have a Maul's Chamber site. 2-0 location. May deploy set 13 Maul here from reserve deck. So you got a 2-0 that downloads Maul. Great. Jar Jar and your spies may not deploy here, except Ezra. Opponent may not force drain here. So Darkseid can't just deploy Maul, get his match for his 2-0 double-bladed lightsaber, and just start force draining at the site. You're stopped from doing that. But the flip side is that no spies can deploy there except Ezra. Okay, kind of fits a little bit with the cartoon. And I'm sure something with this Crimson Dawn objective may get it for you. So your Maul who can't deploy to a battleground now can easily get to the table. Alright, we saw the Executor Control Station. We'll throw this up real quick. Just for hoo-ha's. It's another 2-0 Executor site. While your Imperial here, the Dagobah Executors deploy -7 to anywhere except Fondor. So it'll deploy for 8 if you have an Imperial there. So you drop... Oh, Executor's also Death Squadron Star Destroyer. So if you put Ozzel at the site for 2, deploy the ship for 8, and then he moves up from the site to the bridge. Light side is a force drain -1, but if they initiate battle, they get to add a battle destiny, kind of similar to the War Room texts, but it's a drain -1, which isn't bad. And it's mobile, so that always helps. Unless you're trying to hit them and they use stuff like Rescue in the Clouds. Alright, I'm going to take these 3 all together because they are all first light locations. So we can kind of see a theme emerging here. So we've got the bar, the study, and the reception area. So you've got the 2-0. During your move phase, your leader may move between here and a site, so you can bounce your guys out where they need to. Adds 1 to a blaster weapon. Okay. Once per game, you can deploy Margot, Wooher, or a musician. All right, so you got your bar, so you can get your musicians. You can get your... there's a number of decent musicians. If I think Lin Mi is a musician who then downloads a bounty hunter, so you can get like Boba Fett or something. Have a nice pole chain and do some damage here. If Lightside gets a musician, it's drain +1. Ooh. And then you got the reception area, which is also a 2-1, while your unique alien here, force generation, is +1. If you happen to have Margot, now it's +2. Drain -1 here. If you're smuggler here, force drain +1 instead. So again, that one's a bit more open-ended because there are just a number of good characters. I mean, most versions of half the versions of Han are smugglers. A couple good versions of Lando and some other people are going to tie into that. So you'll get some... And then again, of course, everybody in Watch Your Step, for the most part, are smugglers. So you could have a nice Drain 3 location if they can take it over. Ugh. Okay. These 2 locations look like they go together. We got some Malachor locations. Sith Temple and a Sith Temple entrance, both 2-1 location sites. Darkseid, force drain +1 here. While Vader alone here, he is power +2. Lightside, while Ahsoka alone here or with Ezra, she's power +2. Underground, interior. So these are undergrounds. This was a scene, I think, at the end of season 2 of Rebels, when they have this Sith Temple fight. Vader alone here, drain +1, power +2, 2-1 location. If you got Vader there, he's power, 7, 8, 9, depending on which. Well, if he's alone, he could be 8 or 9. Drain +1. He's got a lightsaber. Now he's draining for 3. Not bad. And then Ahsoka gets a power bonus there as well, or with Ezra. Light side initiates battle here for free unless you occupy. Inquisitors deploy -1 here. So unless you occupy, so your first Inquisitor comes down for -1, but that's really it. Then your game, then you get to initiate battles for free. Once per game, you may deploy a Padawan except Anakin, here from reserve deck. So a dark side sight that gives light side a once per game deploy a character here text, except Anakin. Interesting to see how some of that stuff. Can you deploy a walker to assist the temple entrance? No, they're. It is underground. It's interior, exterior. I don't know about the rules with vehicles going underground. I'd have to check the AR on underground. My instinct says no, but that's kind of weird. And then we got a system. We got Milwaukee. It's a 2-1. It's a battleground. Ties may deploy here as a react. While opponent has more starships here than you, your ships are each power -1. Well, it's a 2-1, so it's a battleground system, so now you can pull it with Kua and other stuff. Because I don't think you could pull it the other way, so you had to do the whole mob points route, which is a lot harder to get Wakelimu out. Probably a player created card. I don't know anything would have specifically wanted to boost. Doesn't seem thematic to fit in here to boost TIE Fighter decks with all the other stuff that's been coming out in this set. So I'm going to guess this is probably a player created card. But okay, certainly has ties deploying as a react. Could be good. And it's any tie. You've got some, yeah, some interesting stuff there. Okay. Now we're going to get to it. Oh. Dun dun dun. We have not one, but 2 new objectives for Darkside in. Oh, that's too big. Still too big. There we go. In this set. Alright, so we got a hunt down that starts Vader's Castle and Visage. So it's an objective that deploys just 1/2/0 plus the Visage that we saw earlier, which is what makes you each player only loses on their turn, and your force generation cannot be reduced then. Now, because you've only started one location, you can tie this in with slip sliding away to go get another location. So you could go get a 2-1 like the new Malachor site, but I think you can also pull those as I'm reading ahead here. Yep. So you can find another good location or something like that. You may not deploy cards except bounty hunters, droids, and Imperials. Where you have an Inquisitor, your total battle destiny is +1, +2 if with a hatred card, so boosting your total battle destiny, and then your Inquisitors are destiny +2. So I think all those guys were probably destiny 1s. They're destiny 2s. Destiny 2. Maul's destiny a half. Interesting. That's funny. Yeah, looks like the Inquisitors were Destiny 2s. Eighth Brothers a 3, so making them be 4s and 5s for remainder of game. That's excessively strong, but I guess if you're limited to only being able to play Imperials, Bounty Hunters, and Droids, I guess they got to offset that somehow. While this site up, once per turn, deploy a Cloud City or Malachor Battleground site from reserve deck. So there's the new two sites. Easy way to get them out of your deck while you're on the front side of your objective. Flip if Vader at a Battleground site, unless they have Luke, Jedi, or a Padawan. Alright. While this side up, you lose no force from Visage of the Emperor. So that stays. You don't lose to your own Visage when your objective is flipped. While Vader armed with a lightsaber, their force drain bonuses are cancelled. So if they have force drain bonuses and don't have Luke, a Jedi, or a Padawan at a battleground site, that would flip you back with those force drain bonuses. So maybe something like QMC that doesn't have any of those guys out yet, or you've managed to kill their guys and you're on your 7 side. So now, you know, Pukum or Thrice is not adding to all your force drain bonuses. And it's everywhere too. So even some of the systems that give you drain +1, those are all canceled. And if they do put down Luke, a Jedi, or a Padawan, and then flip you once per game, you can pick Vader up and all cards on him from a site you control. So that he can go chase them down and kill them. Alright. I'd have to see it in action. It doesn't have that quite that wow factor, but that's okay because I've always been of the mind that it's okay to have new objectives and stuff come out and like be tier 2 and then, set 14, you add one or two more cards to kind of pull them up a little bit as opposed to, hey, let's make the best new objective ever. And then it's like now we got to go through 4 erratas to keep toning it back down. And now you're taking something away from people and then they get mad about it. If they've never had it to begin with, they can't be mad that they don't have it. They can be mad, just not as mad, I guess. I've never had $1,000,000, but I'd be mad that I don't have it. But yeah, you get the point. All right, so new hunt down objective certainly has some potential, has good ways to get some battleground locations out, so you don't need to waste card slots on pullers. And then certainly could do a 4-1 start with slip sliding away because you're only deploying the one location. And then easily get another 2-1 location out, including the new Malachor site. That was a 2-1, and then you get some hatred cards and get all that stuff going. So, yeah, you get Vader there alone early in the game, and now he's power 8, so he's, yeah. All right, so there's some potential there. And, oh, that doesn't quite wrap it up yet. This hunt down will be better against Yops than the old. Possibly. If your Inquisitors were pilots now. Yeah, I mean, canceling the force drain bonuses from Yops. There's another one. The draining +1 where you've got the stacked cards. That could certainly be a thing. Good shout out there, Wayne. All right, and here's the other objective. We talked earlier about Shadow Collective. We saw it referenced on some cards. And now we're going to get to see what it does. Deploy Maul's Chambers. So that's the 2-0 site, the Dathomir Maul's Chamber. Yep. If throne room on table, you can also deploy Maul. So there's a kick in the nuts right to throne room right there. They start Maul right away. For remainder of game, you may not deploy cards with ability or any episode 1 droids. Except characters that have Black Sun, Crimson Dawn, or Hutt in their lore, assassins, gangsters, episode 1 bounty hunters, and independent starships. That's a fairly lengthy list. You've got a handful of people. We saw the Crimson Dawn people. We know there's a handful of Black Sun people. Now you've got a handful of potential Hutts out there as well. Might as well throw in plotting to kill Jabba. Give us a handful more characters. You only get episode 1 bounty hunters. So that'll give you Django, Aura. Maybe there's an episode 1 version of Bosk somewhere down the line. Independent starships. Okay. Once per turn, may deploy a non-unique blaster or card with first light and title from reserve deck. So that'll get you your first light locations or a non-unique blaster. And there's a number of non-unique blasters that you could want to get. But you can't deploy episode 1 droids, so no episode 1 droids with Destiny 6 non-unique blaster rifles. Okay. Flip this card if you just hit a character, or during your battle phase if your gangsters control 2 battlegrounds. So if you have gangsters controlling 2 battlegrounds in your battle phase, you flip your objective, or if you just happen to shoot and hit somebody, you can also flip it. May immediately recirculate and shuffle your reserve deck. So screws up your tracking, but you get all your cards back. So if you activate everything and spend it all so you can control the 2 battlegrounds, then you can recirculate it so then you have plenty of weapon and battle destinies to draw. Or, if you happen to put, your best card back on the bottom, you activate all the way down to it, you fire, you hit somebody, they're hit, and now you recirculate your use pile and then shuffle, and then, draw some destinies again. If you happen to time it right and only spend a couple of force, and you can put a couple good cards together, play 1 or 2 used interrupts, battle, hit the guy with your last card, and then reshuffle like those 4 or 5 cards, which will all be high destiny now because of the interrupts and stuff that you played and put back. So it has a manipulation aspect to it if you do it right. While this side up, if you're a gangster leader in battle at same site as your non-unique blaster, add 1 destiny to total power. Well, we've seen a few of these Crimson Dawn guys are gangsters and leaders, and there's a few others that come to mind. If Maul alone during your draw phase, peek at the cards in your force pile. So there's more manipulation. Start of your draw phase, peek at the cards in your force pile, figure out what's in there. Do you want to draw? So we've got a little bit of that aspect that Black Sun has, with the caveat that Maul being alone, and of course it's not permanent because here flips it back at the end of turn. If you occupy 3 battlegrounds, they lose a force. So this is kind of a little bit more like that Shadows ping as well. If you occupy 3 battlegrounds, cause 1 force loss. This is for flipping the objective back. So it has some potential. There's certainly going to be ways to do some manipulation and pull off some tricks and stuff with it. Zam Wessel. Zam's a gangster leader. Zam's an episode 1 bounty hunter. Yes, Zam is an episode 1 bounty hunter. See, there's a bunch of these cards. You have to search for them all. A lot of them should all be coded into GEMP. You just hit your search keys, look some of this stuff up. And I'd like to say that that's it for Darkside, but I'd be wrong. Because we also have 2 non-unique blasters. Oops. Now, we did talk about non-unique blasters. We talked about the battle droid possibilities, not being able to use those. But you've got the disruptor pistol from special edition that makes people immediately lost. You've got the stun blaster that puts people back in their hand. So non-unique blasters certainly have some bite to them, and now we've got 2 more as well. Use a force deploy on your alien warrior, free if you're a Black Sun agent leader on table. So in this type of deck, seems like a number of these would go for free, and this also will help Black Sun, not just directly related to the Crimson Dawn guys. Target a character or vehicle for free. Draw Destiny. Destiny plus one greater than defense value. They're hit. You activate a force. Doesn't reset forfeit, but you hit somebody and you get to activate a force, which could be helpful. Could also be very helpful, just activating a force to then spend to play interrupts that may cost force, get out of a draw their fire situation. So some potential there. And then you've got the Crimson Dawn Blaster, which again, use a force to play for free. Target can be hit and may not be satisfy attrition. Okay, so now we're getting back into you hit the guy, they're not forfeit zero, but they don't cover any attrition damage. They cover battle damage, but you might still have to forfeit the guy who got hit and somebody else on top of it. So okay, so that's our 34 dark side cards. I'm gonna take a second here and take a sip of water. What do you guys think of dark side so far? We'll get some feedback from you guys. Seems like there's some interesting stuff here. I feel like obviously you're gonna have all the cards together. I know playtesting is working some of these decks. I'm sure we'll see some lists come out. Obviously, there may be some cards that they were using that haven't been released, so it may feel a little incomplete to any of the guys who were on the playtesting team. But it certainly seems like there's some interesting stuff here to at least lay the groundwork and the foundation to build some different decks that'll be thematic with the solo movies. Wayne's looking forward to playing with the new Hunt Down on all the Inquisitors. Bill's saying the Shadow Collective deck is pretty good. I'm sure it's got some great potential. Might be a more of a bit of a higher skill deck. Anytime the decks like the Dark Surgeon, things like that, Black Sun, that require manipulation, they're not as cookie cutter, and they are harder for less experienced people to use. But once you really understand the aspects and can really manipulate the deck, you'll really see it in the hands of some great players, or just people who've just played it enough times to really know the ins and outs of it. You can really see some very interesting combinations and things happen with anytime you can take deck manipulation a little bit further. So tough to think about what else is good when some cards got cut. Might even see Savage Oppress in a deck now. It's certainly possible. That's a card I don't think we've ever seen, and I think we had like a sweet foil version of him a year or two ago. I think he was in one of the league kits. Okay. Those were our dark side cards. Now we've got some new light side cards. 26 of them to be exact. And we're going to start with some characters. Dark side Senate clouds can be a thing. I must have missed Ryan saying that, and my head is already hurting just thinking about it. So, but sure, why not? Okay, first up, an old familiar face. Captain Lando Calrissian. Smuggler, Gambler. Adds to the power of anything he pilots. If a battle was just initiated here, may exchange a card in hand with an interrupt Destiny equal 4 from reserve deck. So that's really open-ended. Put any card from your hand in your reserve deck to take an interrupt of Destiny equal 4 out. And there are a plethora of Destiny 4 interrupts that you could use. Reshuffle. Once per game, if Kessel Run on table, take Lando into hand from table. So if you have a Kessel Run out, you can pick Lando back up. Deploy 2, forfeit 4. Forfeit's a little low, deploy's a little bit lower though. Younger, weaker version of Lando. He's not quite the, crafty. This ain't Billy D. This is Donald Glover, This ain't Billy D. But and that's not once per game either, the exchange. So You initiate battle, you pick up a Destiny 4. They initiate battle back at you, you go back in your deck and get another Destiny 4 interrupt. Keep looping the same rebel leaderships or, uh, yeah, all kinds of other stuff. Who knows that you could pull with that. They're tracking us. Slight weapons malfunction. I think those were all Destiny 4s, right? So you got some potential. Gambler Smuggler also is going to carry over to Watch Your Step. Fallen Portal or something else. That's brutal. They battle you. You're like, I'm just going to get that Fallen Portal out of my deck. Here you go. Damn it. Go get a Rebel Barrier, whatever you need for the next turn. Something. So you battle them, then you go get the barrier out of your deck so when they counterattack, you can barrier their guy. They'll know you have it, of course, but they still have to be able to do something about it. So, all right, Lando's got some potential. Punch it, Baru Stew, barrier, yeah, all kinds of stuff. Baru Stew, nice. How you doing, Chewbacca? Still hanging out with this loser? Well, yes, he is. We got an alien rebel version of Chewie, who is Power 7 now, so he's a stronger version. He's the New Hope Chewie, who's getting virtualized here. It's a card we haven't really seen in a number of sets, a number of years. So he's getting punched up. Adds 2 to power if anything he pilots, 3 if it's the Falcon. May deploy -1 as a react. -2 to same location as Han. So he could deploy for 3 as a react, deploy for 2 as a react if he's going to where Han is. If you have completed a Kessel run, opponent's force retrieval is cancelled. So you complete one Kessel run and they can't retrieve a card the rest of the game. Alright. That's kind of hard. As long as Chewie's on the table, that is, of course. During battle here or at a holo site, your Dejarics are Destiny +2. That's a nice little filler text there, him playing with the holo table. Your Grimtosh or Hujix, Savrip, whatever you got floating around. Draw him for Destiny. Not hurting you too bad. Okay. And he's got a Roar for defense value 4, so he's a little harder to hit. Pair him up with Talon card. Now he's defense value 6. So certainly has a number of being able to deploy his react is pretty good too. Deploying a guy for 3 who's a rebel who forfeits for 6 with insurrection out would forfeit for 8, or in Watch Your Step would forfeit for 8. Just to get some extra power, extra forfeit fodder, possibly enough extra ability to do something. Giving you that second smuggler, you got Captain On and the Falcon just chilling by himself, and they're like, I'm going to battle you. And you're like, I'm going to deploy Chewie as a react for 2. Now I get 3 battle destiny instead of 1. Certainly could happen. Potentially deploy 2, forfeit 12. Oh, he's going 2 Talon card with insurrection out, and the objective is flipped? Yeah, you're right. And if it's the Dark Side Cantina he's going to, well, then he's forfeit 13. I mean, this is just getting out of hand. That's good, though. We need some good versions of Chewie in play. Okay. Holo Theater Challenge. How the highest forfeit you can get, Chewie? Han Solo. Corellian, Gambler, Smuggler, and Thief. Ooh, he's a thief. Trigger some thief abilities. Do we really have any thief abilities? Maybe we'll see. 2 to power and maneuver anything he pilots or drives. If exactly 1 coaxium card on Kessel Run, oh boy, you can take it into hand. While piloting the Falcon and you have completed a Kessel Run, adds 1 battle destiny, and opponent generates no force here. So if you complete a Kessel Run He will add a battle destiny, and if you get him back to Kessel, now it's not a 1-2 location, it's basically a 1-0. But it's still a battleground, and you still drain for 3 there, so certainly has some potential there. Okay. Probably not deploy 2, forfeit 5, just an alien. Not the most ideal version of Han, but he doesn't have that universal appeal. But I'm sure we're going to get to something that he's going to show his promise in. All right, we got a new droid, the female droid, who's a smuggler. So we've got a female smuggler droid. Interesting. So when you have 2 smugglers together, add a battle destiny with Watch Your Step. All right. While aboard or stacked on a freighter, adds 1 to power, maneuver, and hyperspeed, and when forfeited, stack her on that freighter. Alright, so when she's aboard the ship, adds 1 to power, maneuver, hyperspeed. When you forfeit her, you stack her on the ship, and then you can lose her to cancel a non-immune to sense interrupt targeting a freighter she is aboard or stacked on. Okay, non-immune to sense interrupts targeting the starfighter or the freighter, so there's a number of potential cards there. Stuff like Relentless Pursuit or Gravity Shadow, or I don't know if Overwhelmed. Overwhelmed doesn't target. Overwhelm's an all card situation, so that's not. Or is it the implied targeting? Maybe. Um, maybe that's a thing that's going to get triggered by it. So certainly seems like some potential there, and I'm sure we'll get an FAQ with the new set, hopefully, with a bigger set like this. You have to forfeit her in battle for her to go on the ship. Yes, because if you're losing her from hand or something like that, you should be a unit of force and not a card. So then you'd stack her on the freighter. So that's kind of where that seems like that goes. Maybe you could use like faithful servitude, faithful service to forfeit. You're not really forfeiting her then. You're usually using her from hand and just using her forfeit value. So yeah, so forfeiting has to come from the table. Okay. And now we have the Mother of Dragons, also known as Kira. Female thief and another Corellian smuggler. Another ability 4 character, which Watch Your Step has certainly needed for a while, but you know, now we've got another smuggler, so now Boshek just got pushed further out of the way. Forfeited, same location as Han or Voss, may satisfy all remaining battle damage against you. Nice. If you just initiated a battle or force drain at same battleground, and you have completed a Kessel run, opponent loses a force. Immune to less than 3, deploy 3, forfeit 3. Pilot Warrior. So pilot who doesn't add. Defense value 5. Ability 4. Ability 4 pilot. Overall pretty good card. Watch Your Step's going to boost her forfeit up to 5, possibly 7 with Talon card as mentioned previously. So I can see why they set her forfeit a little lower. Could have made her like a 3-4, 3-5, and then just say her forfeit may not be increased, but it probably wouldn't fit on the card. So, okay. And if you initiate a battle or force drain at same battleground where she is. So, okay, so you battle or force drain with her, and you have completed a Kessel run, they lose a force. And you got some ping damage. Stack part specified forfeiting. Well, the cancel part just said lose her, so it doesn't seem like that would work. Okay. We got a new Qui-Gon. Was this one spoiled? Coruscant Control. Power 6, Ability 7. Jedi, once per game, may deploy meditation on Qui-Gon from Lost Pile. During battle, while alone, opponent may not cancel your destiny draws, and your total battle destiny is +1 for each weapon destiny that was drawn while alone. You need like a checklist going over, because it doesn't even say like during that battle. So you have Qui-Gon alone. He battles, he lives. You battle again a turn later, turn 2 turns later. Like, how long do we keep counting here? You need a little counter icon in Gemp now for Qui-Gon's at 6. Qui-Gon's +7 now. Um, oh God, if somebody has to break out little dice to keep track of what Qui-Gon's Destiny Plus counter is at it, I might vomit. Certainly has some potential, but yeah, this is just gonna get mentally exhausting to keep track of. There's enough shit to keep track of in this game. And I have to keep track of how many each weapon destiny that you and your opponent has drawn while Qui-Gon's been alone. All right, moving on to Rio. Now I'm gonna have Duran Duran. Rio Durant, yeah. Adds 2 to power of anything he pilots. Once per turn, when your smuggler is deployed here, may place a card from hand on use pile to activate 2 force. Once per game, when you win a battle here, steal a starfighter from opponent's lost pile. In a battle, steal your starfighter. Okay. Smuggler is deployed here, may place a card from hand on used pile to activate 2 force. That's once per turn. So deploy Rio, deploy second smuggler, dump a card from hand, activate 2 force, which could potentially give you enough to then pay to battle, pay to move afterwards, pay for interrupts, move 2 cards so you can get the better destinies that are further down in your deck. You're putting a card from hand down to activate 2 force, so you can draw 2 cards now at the end of your turn, so you kind of end up ahead. Lots of potential there. You know, alien, thief, smuggler. Oh, here's our buddy Woody. Tobias Beckett, another smuggler. Power 4, ability 3, destiny 0, but destiny is +3 if any of those people are on the table. Cancels Aura Sing's game text. So Aura with blaster rifle, don't do jack. When lost, place out of play. For remainder of game, Han adds 1 battle destiny. So you just lose them, throw them out of play, and then Han just adds a battle destiny for the rest of the game. If armed with a blaster at a site, you may take the first weapons phase action. So you battle and shoot, they battle and you still shoot first. So Beckett shoots first all the time. Okay. Could be very crucial. They battle you, you get to shoot, you hit their guy. Sorry about the mess, take somebody out of battle. Aura Singh's game text being canceled means no Aura with blaster rifle. It's kind of weird to kind of cancel the game text of a character that was recently released in a previous set. It's not like she's been around too long, and it's not like she's really been causing too many problems. So to have I mean, I get thematics and whatnot because they went at it in the movie, but yeah. And then we got Val. Val, Forfeit in place of your hit set 13 smuggler, restoring that smuggler to normal. So somebody else gets hit and you lose Val instead. So you restore the smuggler to normal, which I'm assuming might include their forfeit being returned to normal. And then since they're forfeiting in place, Val would get to keep her forfeit. Permanent weapon is blaster pistol. Target a character or creature for free. Yada yada. Destiny +1 hit forfeit 0. Yep, standard EPP blaster weapon. But it's a blaster, so you can blast proficiency, make that thing shoot at +4 to make people hit and forfeit 0. And now you've got a couple of blaster weapons that you can tie together, shooting at people to do. Well, dark side has crossfire. Light side has a similar card. Why can't I think of it? Yeah. Light side, I'm sure, has a similar card where you get to fire 2 weapons and boost your total power. Maybe they don't. Maybe it is just crossfire. Maybe there's no counter for it. Is it just on aim high? So it's the retrieval aspect, and then if you shoot, you get to boost them? Okay. Joe Olson's favorite shield. Ouch. Well, that's a thing, too, because you wouldn't want to play it, obviously, then as a shield. It saves you a shield pull. Yoda, I feel like we saw. I feel like this may have been Justin's card, or at least he talked about this recently. New Yoda Master of the Force, still defense value, Destiny 4. So he's power +3 when defending a battle, or if exactly 2 Jedi on table. So he's a 6/7 if there's exactly 2 Jedi on table, or if he's being battled into. Once per game during your move phase, relocate to a battleground site as a regular move. So you can use. He's Reflections 3, so he's going to have the Episode 1 icon. So you use your Jedi Council Chamber, pull him out, and then during your move phase, you can relocate him to a battleground site. So then you can get him out and get him into play. And then we've got Vader choking out. Wayne Brady's got to choke a. Yeah. Light side defensive shield. Okay. The plays on table. Opponents' undercover spies are immune to Never Yalnal, so the same thing, not using, Never Yalnal to protect U3PO or Arica or Keeter or any other card with undercover on it. Field promotion is canceled if on Ozzel or opponent's maintenance card. So no more field promotion on Stormtrooper Garrison shenanigans. There it is, right there on a defensive shield. So unless you can play a bunch of other defensive shields first to get them shield busted, no more field promotion, Stormtrooper Garrison, everybody here is immune to weapons shenanigans. And then the same Monarch text we talked about earlier. Clumsy and stupid. Nice. All right. So now we got a new Kessel run. That'll tie into all our guys who say if a Kessel run was completed. Text, deploy on Kessel. Draw coax destinies, stacking face up here until total greater than 12. You can't deploy it otherwise. So you're going to draw a bunch of cards until you get a total greater than 12. If you draw all the cards in your reserve deck and you don't get greater than 12, then I guess they all go somewhere else and the card goes back to your hand. The card's lost. Yeah. I'm sure we'll need a FAQ question on that one. During each move phase, if your smuggler here may move a coax card from here to used pile. If no coax cards here, retrieve 4 force and lose effect. So each move phase, you move a card off it to your use pile. So basically, you're drawing Pod Race Destiny to get greater than 12 to deploy it, and then you're working backwards to take those cards off of it. So instead of doing the traditional Kessel run where you've got to fly halfway across the galaxy and then, come back to Kessel, um, instead, you're just, inverse pod racing basically. Stack a whole bunch of Destiny, and then each turn you're taking a card off of it until you get to 0, and then you get to retrieve 4 force and lose the effect. But as we already saw earlier with Solo, when you get down to just having one card left, you can take it into hand. So that would be your final card. So then that would complete it for you. So you've got the potential there to, during your move phase, if you have two cards, if you time it right, you can stack 3 5s on it, and you can basically complete it in 2 turns. Um, and then you retrieve 4 force, and then you lose the effect. And then if you retrieved it somehow or exchanged for it, and then redeployed it, you could do old school watch your step and complete 2 Kessel runs, and kind of keep setting this up and just keep looping it around. It is during move phase, so if you had a way to retrieve cards in your draw phase, you could get it back, or just wackling, losing that if that card doesn't completely get. It's only getting hit for throne room, right? I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure there's plenty of ways to get cards back. So exchange with Obi to get it back in a hand, whatever. Effective repairs, right? Take an effect from the lost pile into hand, or retrieve into hand, and then retrieve 4 force. It's an effect, so code clearance won't have any impact on it because it's not an Utini effect or anything. So, this could certainly keep looping stuff around all game if you can keep affording to pay for it. It doesn't say Kessel Run completed, but in testing it did count. I'm pretty sure. So, that's true because I guess technically you're not completing a Kessel Run, so maybe it doesn't work with Watcher Step, but maybe it does. I don't know. Put that in the FAQ too. All right. We're moving along. We're making a good pace. Hopefully, trying to finish this up in the next 15, 20 minutes. Thank you guys again for all tuning in, all 20, 25 of you who've been popping in and out, participating in the chat. Especially some of you guys who've been behind the scenes, playtesting some of the stuff, might be a little more familiar with at least the mechanics of how it's intended to work, and I'm sure how it will be coded to work properly. We got the new meditation. Deploy on your character ability greater than 3. Opponent's aliens are power -1 here, and forfeit -2 if a leader or permanent weapon or maintenance card. So Qui-Gon gets this card, slaps it on him. Now all their aliens are power -1 here, and if they are a leader, an EPP, or a maintenance guy, they're also forfeit -2. Most of that's going to offset the forfeit bump they get from court, because a lot of those guys who are bounty hunters and permanent weapons and maintenance guys certainly impacts a few of them. But there's other guys it's also going to hit whose forfeit is going to go right in the tank. If opponent has more characters at same site, you can add a battle destiny and then lose effect to end a battle. So if they gang up on lonely little Qui-Gon, he can add a battle destiny. So now he's drawn 2 battle destiny and then adding to the total based on the number of weapon destinies that were drawn. Qui-Gon the tank. Paul's really happy with a lot of these new cards. Awesome. Huge thank you. Well, I'm not part of the design team anymore. Just happen to get the ability to spoil some stuff. But I'm sure Chris and all the guys You're going to see Ryan talking about some stuff tomorrow. I think Justin and Emil and Jared um, also on the design team. So, and some of the player created cards we've seen in the set. So far some good stuff, and we still have a handful more to go. Talking about Yavin 4 Ops playing that version, playing that Kessel Run card. It's certainly got some potential here because you just have to have a smuggler with it to start taking stuff off it. So there's a handful of smugglers you could play in, you know, a variety of decks. You can do it in hidden base, to keep retrieving cards. God, can you imagine like the hidden base Baragwin deck with a Kessel Run or two? Baragwins aren't smugglers, right? Somebody did check that. Oh God, please tell me Baragwins aren't smugglers. Do, 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 do. They are excellent gun runners, but it does not say that they are smugglers. Okay, thank God. I might have just cried if that was going to work. Yep, absolutely, Paul. I appreciate everybody's hard work, all the volunteers, the 20, 30 people who've been playtesting, join the playtesting team. Now that it's on GEMP, the whole department over there, really put these cards through the ringer for the last, I want to say like 4 months, really. Since there really wasn't a sense of urgency to push this stuff out this summer to get it out before Worlds, with Worlds and all the live events being canceled and everything being shifted back in the calendar, they really put in some extra time, really vetting these cards a little bit further, and I think we're seeing the fruits of their labor because of that. So, oh, we got a Destiny 7 effect, Strangle, deploy on table. Jabba's Palace expansion Leia may deploy as an escorted captive of any warrior to audience chamber from reserve deck. This has to be a player created card. Somebody had Slave Leia as their favorite card and wanted to find a way to get it into play, and it's like, I'll make an effect that'll let you deploy her from reserve deck on anybody. Seeking an audience is immune to alter. Your aliens are immune to Sniper and Dr. Evison. And what does that Leia do? Well, heck, since I opened up Jemp. Ah, she's not coded. You're right, she's not coded because I couldn't figure out her deploy modifier. Haha. Maybe now that it's open sourced, one of you guys can figure that out. Alright, so we already did Hans Dice, the Rock, and her transport. So we'll skip those. Would it allow you to deploy seeking an audience if you deployed this effect first? Uh, yes, I would think that that would how that would work because we've seen it before with, the old no escape trick from Invasion to get that into the thing that cancels their force drain into hand. Yeah, the force activation. So yeah, if you deployed this as your first effect and did it in the right order, seeking an audience would then be immune to alter, which it would then allow you to deploy that as a secondary effect. Heading says always immune to alter. Okay, yeah. Naboo occupation. That's it, Bill. Ugh. My brain just does not work the way it used to. Well, that's because I spent too much time doing it. Yeah, I filled up my head with work-related work and not Star Wars-related work. Twilight is upon me. If he is the chosen one on table, deploy on table. If Luke with prophecy, total force generation is +1 and opponents is -1. So the extra icons that you get from prophecy, you get an extra and take theirs away. So basically, prophecy becomes a 2-0 activation boost if you get it on the battleground. So if you put Luke at the Endor site where he's supposed to be, but almost never is because he's always, running around killing everybody else in Hitco. You stack Prophecy there, and now you get the extra generation. During your turn, may take Yoda's Hut or a Death Star 2 site into hand from reserve deck. So getting Yoda's Hut gets you more activate. Was Hitco really struggling for activation? I don't feel like it was, but I felt like it was activating just fine. But maybe now instead of having to waste pullers, I mean, you start the Jedi Council chamber. Now you don't have to waste spots on Whis to get the Boss Nash chamber and the battle planes. Now you're just going to be resigned to playing at your Endor site, and you're just going to get Yoda's Hut as your 2-0 instead of Boss Nash chamber. And then you can, or Death Star 2 site, so you can get your home 1 docking bay, your home 1 war room. No, it's a Death Star 2 site, not Death Star 2 icon site. Uh, Maybe it is Death Star 2. No, it's not. But how do we have light side Death Star 2 sites? That doesn't seem right. That doesn't seem right. We don't have it. That's. I'll wait for you guys to see. That must be Death Star 2 icon. It's the only way it makes sense because there are no light side Death Star 2 sites. Oh wait, there is one. Haha. There's one further down in the set that they made. So we're just going to jump ahead and we're going to pull this out. Death Star 2 Chasm Walkway. It's a 2/2. Jedi are power +2 here. Dark Jedi are power +1 here. Force drain -1 here. So this is basically the Naboo generator core site. It's a 2/2 where your guys are +2, their guys are +1, but it's a force drain -1. It's also a mobile location, so Rescue in the Clouds is also going to protect some weenies there from getting hit. So yeah, you basically just took away. So you give up one starting effect slot, and now you no longer need to spend 3 or 4 slots on Whis. So you get your 2-0 Yoda's Hut, throw it down over there, which is actually more secure than Boss Nash Chamber, and then you go get your 2/2, which is a drain -1. Um, so now you're less of a risk of taking extra drain damage, whereas you could lose your battle planes and then get drained for 2 or 3 there. Now it's a drain -1. So this just seems like just a straight upgrade across the board for Hitco. It's like here's like, yeah, a big upgrade. We tried it. Definitely not Death Star 2 icon site. Okay, good. Yeah, because that was going to be kind of weird. Yeah, because then you just go get the home 1 war room and then set up home 1. Now you're getting Yoda's Hut and the home 1 war room. It's like, here's a bunch of 2-0s. Thank you for getting rid of throne room, but now we just gave you an easier way to do it all. So, okay. Like I said, these cards went through several months of testing, so that's why I was a little surprised. Now it makes more sense. Got to keep reading. See, these cards are in alphabetical order. They jump around a little bit. Alright, so Twilight is upon me. Pretty good card. Ooh. Speaking of Hitco, here's another helper for it. Anakin Skywalker V. The interrupt, not the character. Used. Relocate Prophecy of the Force to a site. So you just move your prophecy. So then you can drain for more. Or get it away from them. Or just relocate it to the site. So then, yeah, it couldn't, yeah, stops them from draining or couldn't move or whatever. Or cancel and interrupt targeting Luke. Okay, number of stuff there. I have you now, yada yada. Or just anything that's targeting him, like sniper, force lightning, whatever. Lost. If I feel the conflict on table during battle, place Luke's lightsaber in used pile to choose. Add 1 destiny to attrition, or cancel the game text of a character of ability less than 4. So If Luke got hit, or it's their turn, you're gonna throw your lightsaber to the used pile to add a destiny to attrition, or you played something like Jedi's Concentration, so nobody's using weapons this battle. Then you dump the lightsaber to the used pile and get it back out with, like my father or Saitor, on the following turn, and you just added a destiny to attrition, or you cancel the game text of a character of ability less than 4. Well, there's a whole lot of those. Obviously, Boba Fett Bounty Hunter, or somebody like Forlom or something, or you know, Prince, the Prince who needs his game text to draw Destiny. Dengar, yeah, number of guys that are ability less than P59 that canceling their game text would be pretty critical for it. And I believe Hitco once per game lets you retrieve something with Anakin as well. Hey, we're checking everything else out. I'm not sure if it's the objective. Yada yada. I feel the conflict. I know there's something that lets you retrieve a card. Maybe it's on the site. I should actually just do this and just say game text contains Anakin. No, it's on Prophecy. Once per game, retrieve a card with Anakin and title into hand. Yep, so it's on Prophecy. Yeah, thank you, Bill. Can you place a Luke's saber in used from hand? Place Luke's lightsaber in used pile to choose. Yeah, it doesn't actually say from table, so if you had a Luke's lightsaber in your hand, I would think you'd be able to do that. That seems to make sense. Yeah, so you add a Destiny Nutrition. So if you had 2 copies of Luke's lightsaber, you could put a second copy in your used pile. Seems like that would work. All right. Up next, we got Hans Dice, which was also spoiled. Real quick. Gamblers in a battle, draw destiny. There's a whole bunch of different things that you can do. Seems pretty open-ended. Lots of ways to draw. Draw destiny. Subtract that from opponent's total battle destiny if it's low. If it's medium, cancel the game text of their character participating in battle. And subtract from total either, so it's not modifying the individual draw, so stuff like justice doesn't stop it. Cancel the game text of somebody participating. If you draw mid-ranged, certainly could be big. Not quite unsure why the if any needs to be there, because if you're in a battle, there has to be a character participating in that battle, right? And I can't imagine there's any characters that have no game text. What if you're in case you're battling the Jedi pack Mahdi or Tarkin who don't have any game text, there's your out. Okay. It doesn't break the game. Yeah. Uh, if you draw 5 or more, they lose all immunity to attrition this battle. So that's pretty big. And speaking as we delve further into 80s song lyrics, I guess somebody may have been watching the Cobra Kai show on Netflix with He's the Best Around. Maybe just me. This used interrupt takes Kessel Run, the droid, Lando into hand from reserve deck. If you just moved a coax card to use pile, randomly retrieve a force. So put the card used, play the interrupt, randomly retrieve a force, and then possibly retrieve up to 4 more. Lost once per game may place a card stacked on the virtual set, a useless gesture, in your lost pile. So you play the card from your lost pile, it gets stacked. Now your cards cost more, and now it's stuck there. And then once per game, you can put it back in your lost pile so you could potentially play it again later. Seems pretty good. Pretty good smuggler boost. Oh, Han Chewie Falcon. There you go. Okay, so you can use it with Han, and it's just all ships, and there are no characters there. Permanent personas. There you go. All right, we're almost to the end. 60 cards, kids. 60 cards. Lots of arts and crafts. Combo card. Wow. Talk about scum hate. If opponent's audience chamber on table, opponent loses force when you play this interrupt. So we we've been giving it with the dark time to throne room for a while. Well, here you go, scum. Gonna get slapped in the face a little bit. Used. Cancel none shall pass unless targeting your permanent weapon or maintenance rebel, so no Lando, or Ellis. Immune to sense. Cancel a smuggler's game text for remainder of turn, aka Affantman. Lost. During your move phase, break cover and undercover spy, or during battle involving your smuggler or Jedi, exclude opponent's character of ability less than 2. Any droids, Guri, P-59, Forlom, IG-88, Greedo, Thok and Thug, the FN stupid First Order Trooper, and of course the aforementioned Stormtrooper Garrison. Uh, wow. I have a feeling this card's going to certainly see play for a little while until the meta shifts around a little bit, and then some of those dark side decks rotate out of play. This is going to be one of those, meta bullets, where as the game shifts, it's going to go in and out of play, I think, a little bit. But certainly, being able to work with smugglers or Jedi's is going to keep it open-ended. Canceling Ellis, always good. Uh, Possibly canceling certain smugglers' game texts could also be good. And then just in general, breaking cover and undercover spy, also pretty useful. Yeah, excluding because it's just battle involving a smuggler too. It's not out of sight. So yeah, Guri in space on the Stinger, you're like, no, thank you. Just exclude her for the battle. Draw 3 or 4 destiny, kill everybody else, and then it's still Guri just sitting there on the Stinger going, where'd everybody go? Yep. Something that never ever gets said in Star Wars. I've got a really good feeling about this. If you have 2 smugglers on table, choose one. Hey, it's a used 4 Destiny Interrupt you can exchange with Lando. If you have 2 smugglers on table, choose one. If opponent has more cards in hand than you, draw 2 cards from your reserve deck. 3 if one of those 2 guys is Han, the new Han. Or if there are more, I'm going to guess that's dark side icons than light side icons on table, activate 2 force. 3 if Han is on table. Or recirculate. That's really good. That's a really good card. And it doesn't say only 2 smugglers. You just have to have at least 2. And then you get to do one of those 3 really good things. Either draw 2 cards from your reserve deck to get your hand caught up to your opponent, or if they're out activating you, you can activate extra force. Now it's icons, so if they have modifiers from other stuff, that might come into play. I think they don't quite add icons. So whereas like with Watch Your Step, where you get the activation bonus for at systems, so you could still be out activating them, but they have more icons than you, so then you get 2 more force on top of it. Um, or just recirculate. So activate all your force, spend it, deploy a bunch of guys, and then recirculate it all, and then battle and draw 3 weapons and 2 battle destiny. Okay. Home stretch. Saving you guys the trouble of reading all this stuff tomorrow. Savarine Standoff used to interrupt Destiny 3. Battle was initiated. Fire a blaster deployed on a smuggler. So they battle you and you shoot at them, and that blaster can fire again later. So great. So Han's heavy blaster pistol, which already shoots like 5 times a turn, can now shoot another one. Or your smuggler armed with a weapon card is defense value +2 for a remainder of turn. This interrupt may affect the result. So they draw and they hit your guy, and you're like, not so fast. I'm Destiny +2. So it's a few maneuvers for smugglers armed with weapon cards, not permanent weapon smugglers. They gotta have an actual card. But yeah, firing a blaster, they battle you, you shoot, hit somebody, possibly then exclude them or take them out of the battle right away, and then shoot at somebody else afterwards. And it's just fire a blaster deployed on a smuggler. So you could fire the stun blaster, you could fire the disruptor pistol. That's not a blaster, the disruptor pistol. I don't think that counts, that you can do that. But you can fire the stun blaster, bounce somebody out of the battle back to their hand, um, and then fire it again later. Okay. I feel like this one we may have seen as well, but since we're talking about all these new Watch Your Step cards, got to talk about our new Corellia system, right? So instead of being a 1-1, it's a 2-1. Corellians and freighters deploy -1 here, and your ships are hyperspeed +1 moving to or from here. And if Watch Your Step is flipped, it's a drain -1 for dark side. So it's at parsec 1, Tatooine's at parsec 7. Traditionally, you were 6 parsecs apart, so the only ship that could make it was the Falcon. Otherwise, you needed stuff to boost hyperspeed, or a few maneuvers or whatever, or droids that boosted hyperspeed to get there. So now you've got moving to or from. So now all your ships that are, all your light side ships, which have hyperspeed 5 for the most part anyway, the wild cards probably still may not make it, but Pulsar Skate, Outrider, they can all get there now, so they can bounce between the two systems. Whereas Darkside will have only Maul Sith Infiltrator, I think, that can make that jump. So make Leia a smuggler with the New Hope card, Swillicori or whatever the, yeah, make her a smuggler and then start firing her gun and killing people. Yeah, we already did the Chasm Walkway, and we've already done Leia's Rebel Resistance Transport and Rock have also been spoiled. And lastly, we get a new Kessel. Well, a half new Kessel. This only switches the light side game text, which says while you occupy with Chewie, Han, Lando, Kira, or Falcon, Kessel Run may not be canceled. So it's not a drain +1 anymore. What? So if you control Force Drain +1, that text no longer comes into play. It's now been replaced with while you occupy with these people, Kessel Run may not be canceled. Dark side text is if you control Kessel Run is prevented, but Watch Your Step suspends their text on Kessel anyway, I believe. So remainder of game, opponent's game text on Kessel system is canceled. So maybe if you're doing something outside of Watch Your Step, you can set it up and do it, but just to prevent that from going on. And yeah, last two have already been spoiled. It's Leia's Transport, which is right here, and the Rock, which is right here, which I'm going to, just this another Fungineer card. I know how much he loves his Ewoks. So here you go. You can throw a rock at people. I guess it's also somewhat thematic, right? Because it ties in with that scene in the movie where Han threw the rock through the window and then they got to escape. So we got to put a rock in. Yeah. Very upset. It's an Ewok weapon. So that is your. Those are your set 13 spoilers. Whew, we did it. We made it. All 60 cards. Now, standard caveat applies that this text is preliminary. Some of it may still get cleaned up and or tweaked before the PDF is actually printed by the proofing team, but all cards are subject to change until they're released. I know they always like to put the spoiler list out too. The playtesting team, the design team, they're all human. Sometimes there's just those very weird interactions that people just don't see. That people, now that you've got the list and you're like, wait a minute, X and Y happen and this doesn't work, and oh crap, so now we got to change something or tweak something at the last minute. So cards are not 100% finalized yet, but this is what you can expect to be released on GEMP in the near future. Thank you guys all very much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you had fun going through these cards as much as I did. I missed all you guys, so it was nice having everybody in the chat chiming in and whatnot. Hopefully, we'll get back to my regular show in the near future and things kind of quiet down a little bit. Somebody did send me a game link the other day. They were playing Rescue the Princess, and they're like, I thought of you, and I thought this might be a good way, something good you might want to review on your show. And I was like, yes, I would love to review a Rescue the Princess game. And hopefully, it sounded from the description like it was a competitive back and forth kind of game. So we might be back in the near future with our regularly scheduled programming. We'll do a game review. I know we're going to have plenty of new decks now. Hopefully, a real big meta shift. I did not see a lot of ISB hate in this set, so I guess ISB is still going to be a thing for a little bit. Um, obviously the errata I think might have. I know the errata affected some other stuff, so all that stuff can also be found in the old announcement thread, right? We've got. Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. I'll find it. It's here somewhere. I'm tired. I'm sure you guys are tired. That was 2 hours and 15 minutes of Star Wars cards. You guys have a great night. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for continuing to follow and subscribe with your Twitch Prime subscriptions to the PC page. I hope by the end of the month to start getting the remaining OCS foils mailed out to everybody. For the last couple months that I owe you them, I know I owe a few people some Twitch subscription foils. Those are on the list as well. If you are owed them and I haven't gotten them to you, please send me another PM. Send me it to the forums. Most likely send it to me through Slack so I can compile a list, whichever one works between either of those two platforms. Mike Turner, I got both your messages. Yeah. So we'll get all those stuff out. In the meantime, keep playing games on GEMP. Keep watching and tuning in for all the OCS playoff games that we've got coming up. We're basically down to the top 8, as long as I'm looking right now. Let me just make sure You got Hollow Theater tomorrow night with Dan. Did I set up the OCS playoff league? Maximum matches in series 4, so they could all still play the next round in this league, or I could just create a new league and close this. Yeah, no, it's only the 15th, so yeah, I got to create a new league. Okay, so I'll remember to do that. Create a new playoff league for the top 8, and add those people to it. And yeah, keep tuning in for all the fun stuff, and you guys have a great night.